What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. You already know it's your girl Patrick Kiera, and in today's video I am going to be discussing my thoughts and my opinions on the Yeezy Gap collection or collab. But before we get into it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. So basically I did a lot of research to figure out exactly the facts behind the collaborations and just to see exactly what is going on, because yeah, there's a lot. So Yeezy Gap is set to release next year, early 2021. Gap is a company that has been on the decline for a minute. They've tried so many tactics to kind of get themselves back up on game, but it seems that they have not been successful. So I feel that this collaboration with Yeezy Gap is definitely going to be something that will help Gap, because I'm already looking at Gap a little differently, like, okay, I see y'all, I see you, I see what you're doing. And I felt the same way about the Telfar collab that Gap had announced, but we're gonna get into that later on in the video. Kanye and Gap agreed to a 10-year deal with the option to renew after 5 years. According to New York Times, they described this collaboration a little bit more, and they said that Yeezy's design studio, under Kanye's creative direction, plans to create modern, elevated basics for men, women, and kids at accessible price points. And within 5 years, Yeezy is expected to bring in at least $1 billion annual revenue for Gap. Throwing it back in 2015, Kanye actually had an interview in which he said he wanted to be the Steve Jobs of Gap. And it seems like if you speak something up, you speaking it into existence. And that's basically what he did with this collaboration that he was able to secure with Gap. Also, it's very exciting to hear that Moalola, you guys already know I've talked about Moalola. I love her work. I'm obsessed. Moalola Ogunlesi is set to be the design director. It's gonna be super exciting to see exactly what pieces they come out with to address everything else that has happened with this collaboration. If you guys didn't know, Telfar was set to release a collaboration with Gap later this year. They announced it back in January. They even had a launch party. Gap had a launch party in Paris during Paris Fashion Week to kind of talk about the collaboration and really get it out there. They had pictures in Gap stores and of the mock-up of the logos that they were gonna have for Telfar. So on June 27th, Gap officially said that they were indefinitely postponing the collaboration with Telfar, and they told this to Business of Fashion. A lot of people are kind of looking at Gap sideways like, that's very interesting that you're just switching one black designer to use another. Like, why can't you just use both of them? Like, why can't you just have both collaborations? But I also read an article that was recently posted from the New York Times in which Telfar Clemens, who is the founder of Telfar, went in and he explained exactly what happened. So I'm going to go through it with you guys so that you can have a better understanding of the Telfar collaboration and what went wrong. I'm just gonna read some statements that Gap released and that Telfar said so that I don't get any information wrong, because I want to make sure that I'm providing you guys with the correct information. So on June 27th, like I said, Gap confirmed to Business of Fashion that they wouldn't be going through with the collaboration. Their statement was, while we've chosen not to move forward with the Gap Telfar partnership at this time, we're making whole on our payment regardless and have only respect and appreciation for Telfar's time and vision. Since the announcement of the Telfar Gap collaboration, the leadership at Gap has changed. Art Peck, who was the chief executive, was fired back in November. Allegra O'Hare, who was the chief marketing officer, stepped down at the end of January, and John Caruso, who was the former head of Gap Adult Design, ended up quitting because things were not finalized with Telfar as far as the contracts go. It kind of just got swept under the rug. That's basically what they're saying. It's just very distasteful. It's just very distasteful for a huge brand that's been around for years. It's a mainstream brand. Everyone knows what Gap is. It's like a household name at this point. You should not be so unorganized to the point that you cannot even remember that you have someone that you're collabing with, regardless of if people are leaving or whatever is going on. Those projects that those people left have to be passed on to the next person that's coming in and taking over. And for them to have carried out this project in the way that they did, I think it just doesn't look good. It's not a good look for Gap at all. So with the Telfar collaboration contract, it was still in draft form. It hadn't been released in the final form. They had promised to release the contract to Telfar by March 25th. They only had a deal memo that was signed, but a deal memo is not legally binding. Therefore, Telfar could not sue Gap or really do anything, which really sucks. So it's very important also for small businesses to understand how contracts work, what steps they need to take before they even start working on things. I mean, of course you're thinking that you're working with Gap, everything's gonna be good, but as we can see, that's not the case. So it's very important, if you guys or whoever you may know is starting a business, for you to understand the business part of it. Like, yes, we love fashion and we love the creativity behind it, but it's so important to understand the business, or at least have someone on your team that really understands business. So when COVID became a thing is when Gap indefinitely postponed the collaboration with Telfar, even though Telfar had already submitted 30 designs. At the time, Gap gave Telfar a partial payment. I think it's like 25%, but Telfar kept reaching out because of course they wanted to be paid in full for the collaboration, even though it didn't go through, because it just seems like it's the only right thing to do at this point. And Gap stopped responding. So if you guys have heard like Gap not responding to emails and everything, whoever Telfar's team was talking to at Gap, that person stopped responding to emails. When he spoke to New York Times, Telfar said that he's glad to be free of the partnership, and he described it as symptomatic of a vast power imbalance perpetrated by the narrative of inclusivity between establishment brands and independent designers of color, which I definitely agree with. I think that Gap was trying to push this narrative that they support independent designers and smaller brands, but then when they are met with Yeezy and they see the work that Kanye has done, they just kind of brush Telfar under the rug, which is really messed up. So after the whole Yeezy announcement was made, a lot of people were on Gap and they were really going in like, you need to pay Telfar in full, which is when they finally agreed. At the end of the day, it still wasn't the best thing for them to have done in the first place. They should have handled this before this announcement was made so that they didn't have any loose ends, because now Gap just looks really bad. But with all that said, I really do think that the Yeezy Gap collab is going to be amazing. This is gonna also give Lola an opportunity to really show her work and show her crafts and her talents to the world, which I think is so amazing. If it's a Black designer, I'm all for it. Honestly, at the end of the day, I feel that this is an amazing collaboration. I think that it's a great idea. I do not like how Gap went about it with Telfar. I think it was really messed up what they did. But at the end of the day, this is how corporations work. So you just have to make sure, like I said, you have to make sure that you're doing your research and that you know about business, because things like this can happen. And because this corporation of Gap knows about deals and they're working with smaller brands, they feel that they could probably get over on them, which is what they did. This is what they did essentially. So yeah, you just really have to make sure you're on it. You do, you just have to make sure you're on it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video though. Please, in the comment section, I want to have a discussion about this because I think it's a very interesting topic, especially right now with everything that's happening in the fashion industry. Let me know your thoughts down below and I'll make sure to respond back, and I hope to see you in my next video. Peace.